Welcome to Nurse's View. Let's welcome our main host, Bina Bendale, with Emily Knife, Nina Hart, and Cherise Williams. Get ready for truth, heat, and voices that don't hold back.
Welcome back, everyone, to Nurse's View episode 2. And I want to introduce Cherise, Emily, and Nina again. My name is Bina. And this episode is really dear and it's going to be a really good episode because we're going to be talking about what is coaching? What's the difference between coaching, nurse coaches, other coaches, life coaches? I don't know. There's so many different damn coaches out there nowadays. The good, the bad, the ugly, and all this misunderstandings and misconceptions that are out there that this is meant to be easy. Nina, I know we were talking a little bit earlier, so kind of what do you want to talk about this? Like for you, what is coaching and then we'll kind of go into like misconceptions because I think that's like the big hot topic around here.
I have a lot to say about this. I have a
Yeah,
whole
I know, we all
soapbox
do.
to stand on, several sides of the issues to cover. So one thing I talk about a lot that with nurses is a confusing or it's just great. And it's great for me too. I'm not actually here to say I'm the expert on this topic, but from doing it enough and from my own journey of learning, I have learned the difference. And so I guess I talk the most about the difference between coaching and consulting. I think this is super confusing for everyone. And there are gray areas and there are areas that where there's natural overlap and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think nurses get very confused about this when we're talking about a business or a service provider who is either providing one of the two. So when you ask me as a consultant and a coach what that is, I'm going to say coaching is helping someone within themselves achieve a goal. Whereas when I think of consulting, I think of, again, this is just me, I think of giving a strategy to an organization or a person. You can consult with a person. Usually consulting is more business-based strategy. And in my mind, coaching is more of a one-to-one or one-to-many, leading them to find through the journey of finding the answer to achieve their whatever they're set out to achieve or overcome whatever problem on their own with support and guidance. Whereas I find strategy to be, here's what I know works. I'm going to give you the steps. 1, 2, 3, you follow them and you'll get the outcome you're looking for. You have a problem, I have a solution. Whereas coaching is more like guiding them to on their own journey to find the strategy within themselves to reach the problem. I would love to hear everybody else if that's way off base, but that's how I've kind of grown to understand that relationship within what I do.
Yeah.
Emily, straight.
Yeah, no,
It was quiet. That's scary. It was
no,
that bad.
No. I was waiting. Yeah, I was waiting to see who was going to jump in.
And I kind of didn't want to be the first one to respond to this because I agree with you and I want to take it one step higher. Like I have a one level up on that because I do a lot of corporate, like I do everything, a lot of it is corporate. And so I wanted to hear other people's things before I put my 2 cents on because I was processing because it's dead on, like what I thought it would. Like that's actually a really, really good explanation and in the most simplified version out there.
Sure. For sure.
Right? Because it is very gray and there's a lot of this, again, when we talk about misunderstandings and misconceptions, I want people to realize that there is 2 completely different routes. Mm-hmm. And it's really challenging to navigate both. And I just want to state, if you choose a route, stay in that lane. Don't cross-pollinate. But that's a topic.
But I do think there is some, so to Nina's point, there is some slight overlap, but I agree, Nina, and I'll just kind of share from my experience when I did do consulting, it was either educational consulting or project management consulting. They brought me in and my team in as the experts. They didn't want that, right. So they're bringing you in because you have the strategy, the know-how, the plan, or help them develop the plan. And they weren't bringing me in and paying me 3 times as much as everyone else. for me to help them find the answer. They brought me in basically as the subject matter expert, for me to help streamline the process, or for me to help them get them from point A to point B in the most fastest, most cost effective way. That's consulting. When someone brings you in as the expert, and you're literally lending your expertise. Versus coaching. Coaching is, again, Nina, I agree with Nina's definition. Coaching is you facilitating them, whoever the them is, and finding the answers within themselves with guidance and support. But what I've seen, and this probably goes to what you were going to say, what we're going to dive into a little bit later, Bina, but what I have seen in terms of crossing the line is coaching is not you telling. That's not coaching.
Right.
In my book, that is not coaching.
You don't tell people.
You don't tell people, right? So, and I'm sure we all have it, but when I got certified as a neurotransformational coach, you're not telling them anything. You're listening, you're observing, you're listening to what's being said and what's not being said. And then you might be repeating it back and feeding it back to them and helping them navigate so that way they can come to the conclusion on their own. Again, through that support, with the guidance. So, but I will say this, and this is why I say they kind of overlap a little bit, because even though in the holistic health coaching space, when I'm coaching my clients, a lot of it is telling, because a lot of it's education, because they're wanting to optimize and elevate their health. If they knew how to do it, they would have done it by now. So a lot of it is educating and helping them unlearn some unhealthy, things that aren't congruent to the level of health that they desire, and then so helping them unlearn and then relearning. But even in that, it's still asking them questions and helping them find the answers within themselves. And again, giving them the educational piece of what it is they need to know so that they can make those changes or transitions in their health. So that's why I say there's a little bit of overlap there. I think education, I don't know that we can ever get away from education, or that we ever should, because even in the consulting capacity, like I said, when I'm thinking back to when I was doing a lot of project management consulting, those organizations needed education.
A lot of education.
This is why you don't want to do it like this. This is why you do want to do it like this. This is industry standard, right? And so there's always education in there. But again, consulting, you're coming in as a subject matter expert, pretty much. They tell us what to do. That's why we're paying you X amount of dollars.
I think when I was thinking about overlap, I was thinking about the business coaching that I do is a lot of strategy.
For sure.
I'm not necessarily, I am coming in as the expert in having done this, but I'm also working through a lot of mindset issues with them, or a lot of perception issues on how to do something, where it's like, okay, this isn't a strategy that we're working through. This is a block or a personal issue that you're having working through, a limiting belief you're having working through the process. So that's where I see the most overlap, is in business coaching.
Yeah.
I do agree with that. Emily, do you have something to say before I talk, or?
No, I think I love the difference between the consulting and coaching, but I think, they do overlap, and you can't have one without another, really. Cause even when I coach, like when I do like sports performance coaching, like that's not nursing whatsoever. It's something else that I've learned, but I'm also kind of consulting because we're kind of coming up with a strategy of how we're going to attack this mindset limitation or whatever. But yeah, it's interesting how they do interweave, but they are totally different. And I think it comes down to because we talk about transformational coaching, right? That has nothing to, it kind of does have stuff to do with nursing. Like you can pull and interject your nursing knowledge and wisdom, but I think it's important to talk about this whole across the line situation. I can't nurse coach somebody if I live in Florida and I don't have a compact license, that I can't coach somebody in Virginia. That is fucking bullshit. I'm just gonna have to say it. But it does limit you as a nurse. So it's should I even call myself a nurse? So that's, that's
a huge topic of conversation.
So, and that's kind of what I wanted to kind of go on, is to answer some of this question is, first of all, I do a lot of corporate coaching. So it is there is the consultation part of it is with the HR directors. What strategy am I going to use? Where am I going to go? What am I going to do? But then I also coach the employees with their hardship, where they're going. And really, the definition for me of a coach is really shut up and listen. That's really what I hear. That's all I tell. I'm like, I'm I'm giving them a place for them to feel loved, heard, and supported, and to show up unapologetically, and for them to show and to be their true, authentic self without any judgment. I think that's what a true good coach, I don't care what label you put in front of that or after that, I think that's what a good coach is doing. Now, when we talk about business strategy, because I also am a business strategist, right? And I teach business strategy and or consultations, it's really about limiting beliefs. What is the growth and development of your mind, and how are we controlling that? Because if we can control our emotions, our business grows. There's no questions about that. I've proven that multiple times. When you're angry and sad and you're in this, what I call a downward spiral, your business is not going to grow because the energy is blocked. Everything comes in, right? Whereas when we're happy and we're creative, where it comes up and we're ready to take those risks and jump off of airplanes and skydive and have fun with it, then all of a sudden it becomes easy and ease and flow and magnetic and energetic. So it's like we're always under construction, right? So I always tell people, like, when you're doing business strategy, it's a lot of it is consulting because you're educating. You're educating on what worked for me, what didn't work for me. Now it's all hearsay when it comes to that. Everyone basically teaches the exact same fucking shit, is how you apply it, right? It's all application. Now, how I apply it and how Nina applies it might be two different things, but we both get the same result. Now, Emily, when you're talking about nurse coaching in general, you can educate in all 50 states. You can cross the lines and educate in all 50 states. When I do corporate coaching, I am just a coach in all 50 states. I put the label as a nurse coach as my title.
Yeah.
So I am not labeled as nurse coach Bina, but I can go around and I state this, and people need to make this so fucking non-complicated, is like a goddamn CEO. I can be a CEO in California. I'm still a damn CEO in New York. I'm still a CEO in Atlanta. I'm still a CEO over here. Okay, people? Like, it doesn't move. Like, it does not move anywhere because that's my title. So when we're doing coaching, if you, whatever coach you decide to label yourself on, and I don't care what goddamn certifications you get after your name, if you just follow coaching and leave your title as your title, you can coach in any damn state.
Well, here's what's really interesting, because in legally, right, there's so much legalities, there's so much legal ease as it relates to coaching, nurse coaching, health coaching, and right, and I'm going to steal Emily's word, and it's a bunch of bullshit because it is, and I really dislike it because it keeps you bound. It keeps you bound, and legally, if you're a nurse, then you're a nurse in your state or whatever state you're licensed in, right? So if you're a nurse,
nursing, we're not doing any nursing.
I get that. I'm with you. However, the board is not with that. The board has legally, if you're a nurse and you're calling yourself a nurse coach, you can only be nurse coaching in the states that you're a nurse, which I think it's BS. I'm with you, Bina, when you say, okay, I'm a CEO here, I'm a CEO there. You're a freaking CEO. I'm a nurse. I can't not be a nurse. I can't not be a nurse.
Right,
I've been a nurse for 20 something years, right?
But that's what I'm thinking, that where a lot of people have this misconception, right?
Yeah.
Is stop making it so overcomplicated.
Yeah.
If someone is going to sue you, I've been sued now twice, okay, y'all? Like, people like to sue, they're going to sue you.
Yeah.
Legal team is there for you to break apart your contract. That is why you have legal, to break each other's contracts apart. If you don't piss people off, you will not go to legal. Or like in my world, you just piss them off and they still try to fucking.
I was say, you don't try to piss them off.
I don't try to piss them off and they still come up.
This is a very litigious, we're in a very litigious society.
But it's just, that's my point, is that in nursing, people are so quick to sue. People are so quick to go, oh, well, legal this, and let me do this, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, dude, y'all, calm the fuck down.
Yeah.
Relax. We're all here just to serve what we're truly meant to be in whatever capacity that is for you.
I agree.
And it's just like, in all fairness, like this whole misconception this whole nurse coaching topic is a big deal. And I get that. I am a board certified nurse coach. Okay. My contract states that I can only do it in California, 100%. But when I go statewide, I have a nationwide contract. And guess what? I'm Coach Bina LLC. That happens to be a nurse. And I don't do anything along with my medical background. There is nothing illegal about that.
And that's what I explain when I'm doing business coaching.
Yeah.
Anyone in the world, let's say in America, let's limit my knowledge to what I know, could go open a business anywhere. That it could go open a gas station, a bookstore, whatever kind of business you want, anywhere in your town. You don't need a nursing license to do it. You can have a business, right? So where your license comes in and where you want to be very aware is, are you actually using your nursing license in delivering that service? Because to your point, when you're orchestrating a contract with an HR director or a CEO to CEO, there's now, of course, you're leveraging skills you've used in your career, right? I mean, a corporate hospice nurse, I'm leveraging skills I've used and learned throughout my career. But most consultants in my world in healthcare are not nurses. They don't have any healthcare background. They're accountants, they're bankers, they're attorneys,
teachers.
Teachers. You can walk into anywhere and be like, hi, I'm a consultant. Now, does that mean you're truly an expert in that area? Maybe, maybe not. But I feel like nurses, because of our license and because of how hard we work to get it, have this innate fear that we are somehow limited in business or in our efforts to serve and educate by our license. And I feel like I'm here to say it's the opposite. Leverage that bad boy for everything it's got, because you bent over backwards and ruined your marriage probably to get it right.
Your life, your kids, your marriage, everything got sacrificed. So
because it's also remind ourselves, like, how many times in nursing school were we scared shitless? Like we got ingrained. You don't chart, it's not done. If you don't cross your cross your T's, dot your I's, you're this. If you do this, or if you don't have a witness for X, Y, and Z, you can get scrutinized in court. Or if there's so much fear that comes up. But let me tell you one thing. In no nursing program, maybe they have it in this pit now, there is no legal course in any nursing program to actually teach you what is what is correct and what is not correct in any nursing program. There's so much ambiguity behind it. And when you really truly go into law, and none of us are lawyers, so put a disclaimer out on this. None of us are lawyers. We're not giving legal advice. This is just our opinions. So just, if you want to turn this episode off, turn it off now. Okay. I just want to reiterate that because we don't go to law school. Like, we don't come up. Just like how lawyers don't know how to start an IV. Now, when you go and know your legal nursing license, if you are doing your nursing diagnosis, then yes, you're practicing nursing. If you're doing your nursing task list, and if you look at your actual board task list, they're all tasks. IV starts, enemas, G tubes, NG tubes.
The scope of nursing.
The scope of actual nursing is that, and the education piece of discharge, the education piece of how to start an IV. Now, I can go cross state lines and educate on how to start an IV because that is in my scope. Okay? I'm educating that. I can be a professor in Texas and still have a nursing license in California. I know that because I've done this before. So when we're talking about coaching in general, you guys talk to your legal, talk to your state boards, but don't overthink it. Don't sit here and ask 20 different nurses. You're going to get 20 different answers. I always tell people, when you meet one autistic child, you meet one autistic child. Same thing in this world, in this particular conversation. When you have one particular answer, do your due diligence and just remember one thing. Honestly, do your just be nice. If that relationship, like we were talking about in episode 1, if you have that true relationship with people, like, just be nice. Then it won't come up.
That's exactly what I was going back to.
5%. less than 5% of nurses in more now because of the stupid shit that's happening. You know, we can talk about that. But less than 5% of nurses are actually sued.
Right. Right. And you know, one thing I always say, this, I'll tell this to the nurses and the nurse practitioners that I work with. At the end of the day, number one, everyone's, it's so heightened. Like, I think it's an overwhelming, unnecessary fear. Like you said, less than 5%, right? So it's like you're worried about something that is not even very likely to happen.
It's on the 95%.
But I understand. I mean, I've never thought two seconds about it. But for myself personally, but I get it, you know, because we did all work hard for our license and nobody wants to jeopardize it. No one, you know, I think at the core of most people, no one wants to like intentionally break a rule, right? I mean, I do kind of call myself a rebel and a rule breaker, but I have my limits. Like, I'm not going to jeopardize certain things, but I always say it's incumbent upon you as the nurse or the nurse practitioner to understand your license in the state that you're licensed in. I don't know all the laws for all 50 states. I don't know. And so guess what? I'm not going to tell you. So it is your responsibility to understand what your license do. And guess what? If you don't know, number one, make a phone call. We can Google the Board of Nursing for our particular, or go online. I'm sure it's there. So again, it's not that hard. You know, Again, I'd rather you make the phone call and do the online research than to be stuck and frozen. Like, oh, I don't know if I can. Don't let that stop you. Like, get the answer.
I think
get the answer and then move forward.
And I think another misconception around here is like people have to remind each other that people are sue friendly when they're triggered. You know, that's when they didn't do their deep work. You know, they're not business savvy. They're mad because they didn't get their way. I mean, I got sued because this lady who was part of my team and I had to fire her because of she's stealing clients. Like, she got mad because I fired her and she wanted compensation. She's like, you know, I want to go with I'm like, girlfriend, when you're fired, you're fired. Like, you don't go to, what the fuck's wrong with you? Like, that, no.
You don't work like that.
It doesn't work like that. Yeah. So it's like, I think when people have to have this misunderstanding, like, the thing is just like, you have to understand that if you don't do the growth and development, the leadership, true leadership coaching that we all four of us on this particular view have done, one, to ourselves, and two, we know how to perform it to other people, right? I think that's why this group is very powerful, it's the people that don't invest in themselves that haven't done the work. Like, they're like, oh, well, I don't want to hire a coach. I can do this by myself. Well, yeah, the chances of getting sued are pretty high because you're going to do something stupid and you're going to piss somebody off. And I think that's where another misconception is one, I don't need a coach because I am coaching. I am the coach. I don't need a coach. And I think that's like the biggest misconception is every good coach has a good coach.
Yeah.
I
got so much to say on this. But go ahead.
Several.
Because
or several. Emily, you have something to say because you're quiet.
Yes, go ahead, Emily.
No, I don't go. Keep going.
I don't want you feeling lost in this.
I'm just here. You're fine.
Talk about this one. This is a topic that I could. Oof.
It's insane. It's insane. And I will say this. This was back in 2015. I was at a conference in California. It was Lisa Nichols. It was a Lisa Nichols conference. And I remember Lisa Nichols, if you don't know her, she was in The Secret. But and she's been on Oprah and best-selling author, Anyway, I remember Lisa Nichols saying that she was talking to Oprah because she's been on Oprah show many times. And Oprah asked her, and she's at this point when she's having a conversation with Oprah, she's a multimillionaire, right? Oprah asks Lisa, how many coaches do you have? And Lisa was like, oh, I got one. I got a coach. And she was like feeling pretty good about it. And then she said she kind of saw an expression on Oprah's face. And she said, well, why? How many coaches do you have? And Oprah said, I have one for every area of my life. And I was like, when that was in 2015, and my mind was like, that makes so much sense because when you look at it, and I agree with you, Bina, every good coach should have a coach or two or three or four or five.
I have three.
Listen, I have what? Yeah, I was gonna say, I think I have 4 right now.
I have 3.
I have a lot.
And here's the thing, because we only know what we know. And we know a lot. I mean, it's not undermining what you know, but guess what? Right. We can't see our own blind spots. That's why they're called blind spots, right? And it's just the same thing as if you're hiring a personal trainer. We all know how to go to the gym. We all know how to pick up a dumbbell. We all know how to lift a bar, whatever, whatever it's called. We know how to do it. We all know how to do the most.
Obviously, we don't.
Well, maybe we don't. No, but we all know how to do something as it relates to the gym. So why is it that we hire trainers? To make sure that first of all,
the accountability.
The accountability, to clear up the uncertainty, like, am I even doing this right? Should I be doing this exercise? Is this too heavy? Is this, if it's not enough, right? Check my form and, all the things. So that's why we hire a personal trainer. We never think about, I've hired tons of personal trainers over the course of my life. I have one now, but I've never thought like, oh, maybe I don't need a trainer. If I'm trying to hit my goals, I will. Now, can I hit my fitness goals and my health and wellness goals without a trainer? Yeah, eventually. Do I want to expedite the process? Absolutely. That's why I hire a freaking coach or a personal trainer, which is a coach, right?
So you nailed it when you said that. When you hire a coach, you're 10xing your exponential.
At least.
You're 10xing your speed, should I say, right? And multiple coaches, like, I actually did watch that episode. And, when Oprah was saying, like, I have a mentor in every area that I need, it is the honest truth. Like, I think right now I have 3 or 4 coaches, right?
Yeah.
And I feel content with that. And not a lot of people are like, oh my God, you spend so much money. And I'm like, but I also invested in myself. So don't get my ass screwed again.
Right.
Lessons learned on that, what not to do. And then 2, like, how do you build yourself back up when you're at that rock bottom notation and really pulling out that weeds on you with those limiting beliefs? We all get there. So it's like, how do I pull that out myself fast and quick so I can stay in what I call be in now action, which is my name, which is where my method is the be in now action. And so it's like, right. So it's like when you're in that moment, it's like when I know I'm in my best spirits, when I'm in my be in now action. How actually the Nurse's View even came up. Like this all came up within like 48 hours. Like my vision was there. Emily's like, I'm on board. Then, Nina was like, I'm on board. We were supposed to do a second podcast that we never did together. Cherise.
Right. We had such a phenomenal time on that podcast that did not get recorded.
The first one didn't record it, but and I mean, like, it just all came together. And I think that's where, because I've been coached by the best coaches in the world, and I've been blessed by that. And not everybody has that opportunity. And I totally understand that. But then find a way, just like how you want that Louis Vuitton, or you just want that thing, you're going to work those extra shifts for that paid thing, or you're going to work that extra shift for this, or you're going to work that extra shift for that. Put this as a priority, because then you don't need to work on those extra shifts anymore, because all of a sudden, just like with Emily, you get all this passive income coming in. And hey, people are like, how do I do this? How do I come up? It's like, well, listen to Emily. Like, listen to what she actually does. Like, if you actually listen to what she has, like, she's made $1 million in passive income over this past 3 years. That's incredible.
Here's where I see a misstep that I see a lot related to what you're talking about is maybe we're still in that place of desperation. I have to make this work. We get super committed to the outcome here. And then we take that money that we're holding so tight, the last money, or the money that I worked so hard for, or this money that I can't waste, or we have this emotional attachment to, and then we give it to that coach and we say, here you go, Bina, here's this money. And I expect from that coaching commitment that you are going to give me the outcome I imagine in my mind is worth that amount of money, whatever it is, $2, $2,000, $2 million. I have an expectation, and a golden retriever. Sorry, guys, if you can hear my dog barking, but I have this expectation attached to this money. And if I don't get it, if you don't give me this done ideal that I've created, then I got ripped off and you let me down. And what happens is I really want to encourage anyone who's listening, who's involved in coaching. One of the very few things I've done right is that I take whatever outcome or whatever small pieces from that coaching, I approach the coaching with a heart of curiosity. What is it about? What could this do for me? What are they doing that maybe I could implement or apply? I'm not going into this coaching program saying, if I don't have a program just like Cherise that's worth $30 million at the end of this 6 weeks or 1 month or 2 months,
Thank you for that.
then I want my money back.
I like
Okay. And so I think personally, this is my opinion, that's the wrong way to approach coaching. It's
100%.
setting you up for failure. It's setting you up for disgruntled feelings and maybe litigation, right? Because you're going into this relationship expecting X. And if you don't get X, if you end up getting Y, or if you end up getting W, you're mad and you're unhappy, and that was a waste. And now you start another program with the same exact outcome and the same exact expectations. And
No, I agree 1,000%, Nina. And just to add to that, I think this is one thing that I teach in all of my programs is the need to take radical personal responsibility. Because right. Because if I've heard people say this, well, I invested in this program and I didn't get anything out of it. Why not?
Why?
Did you not? Did you not ask?
Up?
Did you show up? Did you not ask? Did you not implement? And then to your point, Nina, because you're like, and then you join another program or invest in another coach. I didn't get anything out of that either. Okay, well, wait a minute now. The common denominator is you, right? So we have to stop abdicating our power. And this is for everybody, you guys, everyone who's listening. We absolutely must stop abdicating our power to other people. We must absolutely step into advocacy for ourselves. If you're not getting something that you want, say it. Please don't be in I don't care. I was going to say 12-month program, 3-month program, 6-month program, 2-day program. But 1-day program and not get what you came for.
Yeah.
If you feel like you're, say it. Ask again. We're so great at advocating for our kids, for our patients, but
I also think it's also one step higher than this too. If there's an expectations, like what I teach very, very, very dearly in my program, expectations for agreements. If you're sitting there and you're asking Nina or Emily or any one of you, like, hey, what agreements do you have by the end of this, at the end of this 6 months? What it comes in, because I think I'm very clear in any of my program, there is no return of investment. That is on you. I can guarantee you to make money, but I can only do that if you actually follow the steps that you've got to show up on my calls.
And you've got to implement when we're not on the calls.
And you have to do the work. Like you can't just sit around and be like, hey, I don't know how to do a social media post and then not post for a month. And you're like, I don't have a client. And you're like,
right. Okay. Going back to radical personal responsibility.
I truly believe that you could set any coaching. I'm going to put this out. I'm making a big statement here. And I believe this. That's why I'm saying this. I believe you could put me in any coaching program in the world for any topic, for any reason. And I could take something away from that I got a return on and applied to my business, because I took a coaching program that I was disappointed with. It was $10,000. By the end, I was let down. I thought that wasn't really what I was hoping we were going to cover. That wasn't the depth I was hoping for. That wasn't really practical for me or applicable. And at the end of that coaching program, I was like, turns out I already knew everything I needed, and that was worth every cent of $10,000. And I got a $32,000 client the next week after that program was over. And that 3 times to my return on investment within 1 week of finishing it. And I wasn't satisfied with the program.
But what
perception of it?
Absolutely. And it's again taking personal responsibility. So you took responsibility for, okay, this is not what I didn't get what I expected out of the program, but what I did get was so much richer and will continue to create return on investment over and over again. And you got the validation that you knew that. I did that too. I invested. It wasn't quite 10,000 this particular time. It was, I don't know, a couple of thousand, or actually, no, I think it's about 7,000, just to find out. I'm like, oh, I knew all this. Not all of it, but like 95% of it. And that's not me being cocky. That was just me being self-aware and analyzing. I'm like, Sharice, you knew that. But I needed that $7,000 lesson because clearly I wasn't confident at the time that I did know what I knew.
And what was that 25% worth that you learned?
Girl, listen.
See, and I think that's the other part.
And it continues to pay. Continues even to this day. And that was years ago.
And I think that's the part about any type of coaching, and whether it's a bad coaching container, whatever you consider it, a bad one or a negative one or a good one or a positive one, a lot of it is validation. Yeah. And I think that's where it really comes down to, is that you might be in a coaching container, because I spent a lot of shit ton of money on coaching, and I've been in a very specific one and they didn't validate me. But what I learned from that, because I made too much money, oh, I can't be on calls because I made too much money. And when I got my corporate deal, I don't know what to do with you, Bina. And so then I'm like, okay, well, can I have my money back? And they're like, oh, no, 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 you can't have your money back. I'm like, you can't serve me, but you don't know what to do with me, but you don't want me on calls because I make too much money. But I was like, but you know what I've learned about that? I took all those feelings and all those negativity and I encompassed it with what I'm not going to do. Like that was my money, what I call my money loss, which was my 10x return with the Corporate Nurse Coach Accelerator. What my community builds of like the inclusivity part and what I'm not going to do and what I'm not going to have other people feel. So a lot of the times when
And that's
people are
just as
like,
important.
right. And so it's like, yeah, we might have done like some money loss, but it always comes back as an energy flow. And Emily, I do want to hear your input on this, right? Is like, especially when it comes to like this energy flow part, it's like I really, really want people to hear when you are choosing a coach, interview them. Ask them questions. Just like you're going for an interview, interview your coach. What are their success rates? Ask them questions, ask them thought questions. So that way, when you're going into that conversation, I love this. I had a client that did this to me a little while ago, and they go, we're going to go shop around. I said, congratulations. They looked at me, they go, what? I was like, I want you 10 times more now because you're shopping. You are ready for coaching. It's like I'm not gonna if you come up to me like, oh, let me think about this and oh
You're good.
girl, you're done. Like peace. Like I'll reach back out to you as a follow-up, but I'm not
Maybe.
chasing your ass. Like that ain't happening. Okay.
Yeah.
Either you're ready or you're not. And if you're stuck in that world, then you're stuck in that world. And I don't want to coach you. So it's like those types of things where we really want to cultivate what we learned in those negative experiences to learn, like, hey, this is what I'm not going to do. And that actually makes you a better coach. Other thing. Emily, I know we wanted to hear what you had to say about all this.
Well, to be
We got
honest,
very heated on this side.
We did, didn't we?
I was just enjoying the observations. Yeah, it's such a fuckery, to be honest, because I think a lot of what nurses do is coaching.
Yeah.
Like that's what I've done so much of like I've done so much of coaching other nurses, whether it be in like leadership roles, mentorships, being a manager or whatever. And yeah, it's so funny. So when we talk about like these certification programs, I loved how Nina spun it and took a different perception of that because I've had so many students, nurse students from these coaching programs that are disgruntled and they're like, I want my flipping money back because I can't get a high ticket client or I can't get a client. And it's like, it's the I can't, I can't, I can't. And it's like, but what if you can? But
Yeah.
maybe you just need another coach because now you need the business side. They didn't probably teach you the business side. That's probably like another 12 grand if you want to do that, right? Like that's how that upsell situation works. But it really
Not
does.
in my world.
Or maybe,
Like,
or here's the
my
thing.
world.
But this is what I've seen
Right.
too. Or maybe that's just outside the scope of that particular program.
Yeah.
Right? There's some programs,
Yeah.
business coaching is not part of it.
yeah,
It's the
let's
skill, or depending on the. Listen, let me tell you. Depending on the program, not in
Yeah.
mine because I do business coaching. But what I'm saying is, there are certain programs that are maybe skill specific or whatever, right? And business
Yeah.
coaching is not outside the scope. That's not what was sold or promised either.
Oh, no, there are some people who are out there that are selling business
Well,
coaches.
that's a whole other thing. That's
I'm
wrong.
just saying, that's what I'm telling people.
That's
You need to do
wrong,
your
and that's
business
out of integrity.
I know there
Yeah.
are business coaches out there that have stated that they became a business coach after having like 10 clients or 15 clients, and it's not a repeatable business.
Right.
And now they're like going around like selling candy to people and they're making it sound so easy. And when I challenge these nurses, right? And these nurse coaches, because it's like, so what have you been doing? And they're like, oh, well, I've done like 10 or 15 clients. And I'm like, that's it?
Yeah.
You like, how is that? What other credentials do you have to become do you know business? I mean, I have my master's in clinical nurse leadership. I know enough about business, what we're coming in. And what I don't, I've learned over the years, right? from
because you have experience and yeah, exactly.
But some of these nurses out there, I'm sorry, there's some fuckery out there.
Listen, I'm not condoning that at all. Yeah. I'm saying if it was outside the scope of the program. Now, if you're saying you're a business coach and you're selling business coaching,
that I'm talking about.
Damn it, you better deliver some business coaching. Because now you're out of integrity.
Right.
That's a problem.
Programs out there with that. Yeah. Right. And there's other programs out there that stated they were business coaches and they charged $15,000 to $20,000, $30,000 for the entire year. And it was just like, so how do you feel about this? It's like,
no,
bitch,
I'm
looking for strategy. Like, can you tell me what to do? Because I've never done this. I don't know how to do a one-page flyer, Bina. And they're like, and they're sitting there going, well, how do you feel about it's like, oh, or I've gotten the responses of like, I've heard this from other people. Oh, let's just Google it. It's like, I'm not get $30,000 for me to Google like YouTube. Like, come on. That's what I think where I tell people you need, when you're doing the deliverables, you got to have your deliverables. When you're doing what you state you're doing, stay in integrity. And the upselling portion is what we're talking about is like, it's that upselling portion is like people just want to get in and in and in. And they're like, oh, now I'm going to charge another X amount of money for this particular container because now they're code developing, which again, there's nothing wrong with that, but you have to have a base behind it. I'm not going to go and be a hospice nurse.
I was going to say, just get them on the vulnerable. It's like universities, when you're getting done with a BSN program, those academic counselors are coming in right behind you and they're like, we have this awesome NP program. You can get right in. You don't even have to work as an RM, right? Like it's the same thing. And I feel like I
got a lot to say about that, by the way, but go ahead.
Yeah, that's like a whole nother, right?
That's a whole nother conversation. That's podcast number 4 or 5.
But yeah, it's been a very interesting to see the coaching industry within the aspects in the context of nursing, because you see these programs, it gets under my skin because I've seen so many people getting taken advantage of basically because they're like at their wits' end, they're in the midst of burnout. So they're already in a flight or fight. And as we know with our nervous system, when we're in that moment of a fight or flight, like we can't think straight. So of course I'm going to jump into a coaching program and be like, I'm going to be a coach now, when the work I actually need to do is inside myself. I'm not going to be able to coach anybody because I can't, you know what I mean? So it's a very interesting situation right now that we have within the whole context of nurse coaching. Like you said, like some people are just natural. Like if you're that nurse and you've been called like Bina, go educate these parents because they're about to lose their child, you're probably going to be a good ass coach. Like you're probably just a natural coach, and you might not need a 20 grand program or a 30 grand program. You might need a coach to coach you, and then you can take those skills and coach somebody else, right? There's so many different ways, but that's kind of what I'm seeing right now is they're preying on the vulnerable, they're preying on burnout. And really, you have to have the business piece. If you are going to be selling something, you at least have to know how to
sell it
and sell it, right?
Yeah.
It should be required really in a nurse coach program.
It's just, and not to like put my program out on this podcast a lot, but it's just like the first 6 to 8 weeks, what I do is all personal development. I'm reprogramming. I'm an NLP mastery. I'm an NLP mastery, and I have my hypnotherapy certification as well. Some of my clients don't realize that I'm already doing hypnotherapy on them from day one. You know?
I just want to point out to Emily's concept here, what's so important is if you are in a place of desperation and you are just at the point of trying to do whatever's going to work instead of what your natural skills point you to. She just said, like, if you're a natural coach, you might not need a $20,000 program. I know that's such a simple statement, but that is so profound because we have people trying to do anything that will work because they're at that point of burnout or because they've been so mistreated by their employer or whatever the case is. And that kind of sets you up for failure if that's not in your strengths. I talk to nurses who want to do consulting who don't know what it is and who have no expertise in the area they're trying to serve. And it's really hard to have that conversation to say, let's talk about what you're really great at and what you consider yourself to be an expert at. Because right now you're telling me you want to open a concierge IV clinic, and you want to be a consultant for labor and delivery, and your expertise is in nursing homes, and you haven't started an IV in 2 years, and now we're in MLM network, and don't
That's a whole other podcast.
don't
That's a
kill
whole
me.
other podcast.
I will buy from your MLM. I'll buy all of it. I love MLMs, but if
Yeah.
you're looking to build wealth and exit out of nursing, it's likely that an MLM is not the way to do that.
Right.
It's the most likely outcome. Only 1% of you are going to be millionaires from an MLM. So it's like when you get to that point of desperation, we need to take a step back before we are buying programs, because you probably will be disenfranchised and let down if you're trying to force yourself in a square peg into a round hole.
Agreed.
And can you just kind of remind
I think
everybody
that's
what
really
an MLM
good.
is?
Oh.
Just to
Multi-level marketing.
Yes, just so
And
people know what that is.
yeah, we've all tried it. It's always, exciting and fun products. I love the products. But if we're talking about self-employment, building businesses, or exiting nursing with a great amount of wealth, it's usually not an avenue that most people are successful in. You've got a few people who get really high up and get really successful, but it's a high risk venture.
Well, I just want to make sure. So just for acronym.
Okay.
What is that?
Referencing products, don't worry about it. It's just MLM. I'm just
Love it.
But
Love
you know,
me
one
an
thing I
MLM.
want to, no, listen, me too. And one thing I was going to say, and I was in direct sales, and it was just totally different from MLM, but whatever, everyone kind of lumps it all together. It's all good. But I will say this, and I think one of the reasons why I have been so successful in business is because of the skills that I honed in my network marketing business.
Yeah.
And the grit that I developed in my network marketing business, and the thick skin, so much, people, I'm afraid they're going to say no. Well, that goes out the window. Listen, you're in network marketing for 18 years, whatever, you could care less. That's not even a factor.
Natural skills that contributed to you being really good at that too.
I don't know. I don't know that I did. I'm a people person. Let's just go there. Okay. But most of us in nursing are people, because guess what? We help people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think maybe, but most of the skills that I developed, they were developed in, intentionally developed and honed through those 18 years. And had I skipped those 18 years being in leadership in a direct sales company, I can guarantee you I would not have been as successful. Not that I wouldn't be successful. I wouldn't be as successful as I have been in my holistic health coaching and my business coaching business. There's no way. I mean, I still use a lot of the same skills. Because it's different industry. It's a different industry.
It just
same skill set.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or similar. Lots of same skill sets for sure.
It just goes back to life skills. And I think that's really what it comes down to is when you're becoming a coach, or you're thinking about becoming a coach, and you think you're going to make millions in this next 5 to 10 years, just to kind of wrap this episode up, let's just throw it out there. That ain't going to fucking work. That's not real. Okay. It takes years, it takes 2 to 3 years to be fully successful. I'm quoting successful here. Okay. And it's a lot of work. I think I want people to hear me on this. It's a lot of work. There's a lot of growth and development. It's like giving birth, like when you give birth the first time, it's like, what the hell was this? Like, you're like, wait, what comes out? Like, wait, I did not realize that was going to come on, people. That is not clean. Like, there's a lot of emotions around it. Okay. And then once you get past the first delivery, you forget about it, and you forget about all the pain. And then you do it again. And then you do it again.
And again.
And again. And like Emily said,
coaching, you don't forget the pain. That's the difference. You don't forget the pain. You're not forgetting the emotions. And you got to learn how to control those emotions in a way for it to fuel you and not to disempower you.
For sure.
And I think that's a big difference between a lot.
Yeah. Emily said you may not see instant results. Even from a program you did while you're in that program, it may be a year later that you use what you learned there. And that's like several clients I've had. I may have been reaching out to them for 6 months and been like, man, our call went so well. I thought that was going to work out. I thought we really had a good thing. And then nothing happens for months. And then in 6 months, they've done the work. They're ready to move forward. Yeah. Bam, we go. Yep. Same thing with a program.
Yeah.
You may feel like you committed to this, you paid all this money and it was a waste. But then you may be ready to implement that in the next 2 years, 3 years, when your business is where it needs to be, or your mindset is where it needs to be, and you can act on it.
Agreed.
It goes back to what Emily said. Our mindset is key.
Yeah.
And I want people to hear, and we're going to wrap this up because of it's almost been on the top of the hour here, is when we are in coaching, first of all, please interview your coaches. Everyone should have a coach. Interview the coaches. Interview who you're hiring. If it is a true business person, ask them how many business success they've actually had, especially specifically for business coaching. Okay. Now, if you're looking for a somatic coach and other coaches, those ones, I really do truly believe you can meet one person and just, it can be it's all about based off relationships. But one of the misconceptions here that I just want to debunk while we're on this call with everybody is just remind yourself that it doesn't come from a place of freeze. It's not, business doesn't open up when we're burnt out, when we're frozen, when we're in that fawn phase. We're making irrational decisions is just like we're making irrational decisions on a temporary problem, not looking at this as a long-term momentum. Like, what's the long-term game? And spend the money, spend the good money,
Invest.
Because just like we all need a good refrigerator. I don't know about you all, but in my house, I need a goddamn good laundry washer dryer. I will spend money on a good washer dryer. Okay? Because we do 3 to 5 loads a day. So we don't want something that's good. I got 3 kids, man. They all like to change clothes with the dip of the dime. Like we're in that phase where 1 minute it's a dress, the next minute they're pirates, the next minute they're snowmans, the next minute I don't know what the fuck
But
they
it's
come
so
out with that.
cute.
Except when you don't do their laundry.
Now that I'm past it, I'm like, oh, that's so cute.
Except when you have to do their laundry.
Sure. Yeah.
Invest. Any last thoughts that we go before we close out?
Yeah, the only thing I was gonna say is I do think that I'm really big on verbiage, and I think it is important to understand the difference between spending money and investing money. I have invested, so when you spend money, you're just giving it away. Okay. When you're investing, which is what we're talking about, investing in a coach, there is a return on investment. Sometimes it's monetarily. Sometimes depending on the coach, like if you're doing somatic coaching for your own personal, like maybe because not from a business perspective, but maybe because you need those tools and skills, well, you're not going to get necessarily a monetary. I beg to differ though, because you're going to show up different in every situation, so it probably will affect you monetarily. However, the point is, and you're investing, and you're not even investing in that coach, you're investing in yourself to get support from that coach. So I think it's just really important that we're clear on what we're doing. We're not spending, we're investing. And who exactly are we investing in? Ourselves.
Yes. Not institutions, yourself.
That's right.
That's what I have to say.
Well, everybody, thank you for listening to the second podcast of the Nurse's View, and stay tuned for episode 3. I probably will stop calling these episodes and for the next one, just because I'm dyslexic and I might lose track of what number we're on. So we're just going to start saying the next episode, but stay tuned. Next episode is going to be great, and see you guys all in the next one.